Hey everybody. So I just wanted to speak about this phenomenon of birth chart readings. Whether that's like looking at our own birth chart personally or receiving a reading from an astrologer. So there can be this experience of just hyper intellectualizing or over intellectualizing and overthinking what we have, like what we get to hear or what we get to learn. And I think it's pretty natural, like it's our humanness that wants to understand, that wants to take in information and all this. And there's nothing like inherently wrong about it, but I think it can really get in our way sometimes that we just overly try to understand something that actually is so vast and that also gets understood more deeply by living it or living through it. So we cannot just fully understand it like in one lifetime, maybe even. So in astrology, like if we look at our birth chart, we can see it as a map that can help us, that can be like a guide through our life. And now imagine like if we go on a hike or if we're going to visit a city and we have a map with us to help us to find our way through this place. But we are just constantly looking at this fucking map. We are missing out on so much beauty around us. We are missing out on potentially also walking a path that's not on the map or that we didn't see on the map. Because this is actually an interesting point with astrology, that since I have been studying this for like almost 4.5 years now, whenever I look into my own chart, or oftentimes when I look at my own chart, I will notice something, something that I might not have noticed before, or I see it with a new perspective, obviously, because I keep on living and I keep on having experiences. And so my perception changes. And so every time I look into my birth chart, I look at it with different eyes. And so I will notice different things, or I will have different insights or different ideas, different inspirations, all this. And so I find it's the same when a person comes for a birth chart reading, that I really believe that a person comes for a birth chart reading at when they need it. And when they come at this certain point in time and space, the information that is then coming through and being shared between us, actually, because it's an interaction. Like when I personally do birth chart readings, I go into a conversation with the person. I listen to what they have to say, to the questions, and then we consult the celestial bodies and what they have to say on that. And it's actually impossible within 1 hour to interpret the whole birth chart, because it's a dynamic thing, same as the person's life. So we will touch on the things that are, I believe, most relevant to the person's life at that point in time. And then, I usually record the session in an audio file and I give it to the person. But I think actually some people don't even listen to it again. I actually never fully re-listened to a reading that I received before. And I actually remember another reading that I have received, we didn't record. And I feel like that's almost more alive in me still. Because I find when we receive a reading, we take it with us, like our whole like body, mind, being has been there in that reading. So we then go about our lives, and as we go about our lives, this experience, like maybe there's suddenly a moment in your daily life where you remember one sentence or one part of the conversation from the birth chart reading, and you go like, oh, that's a nice piece of information to remember right now, because it can maybe help clarify a situation or make a decision or something like that. And this is usually how it works. This is how our mind works, can work. And I think this is how an astrological reading is used in a smart or wise way. And how astrology also, if we practice it ourselves or study it ourselves, I personally think is better used. yeah, instead of constantly like checking if everything is aligning with the stars. I mean, there are people who do that. And I also think it has to do, with our individual constitutions and how we take in information. For me personally, it's actually not looking into into the chart every day. At this point on my journey, anyways. So yeah, I think it's highly individual how we all, decipher and take in information as well, of course. And yeah, and then it's really about also learning to walk our path in presence, in a felt experience. And the birth chart is really, or astrology is really a tool that can help us do that. So yeah, I hope this was clear, or that was useful piece of information. And yeah, I wish everybody a good time wherever you are in the world. Speak again through the camera soon. Bye bye.